So I've never been part of a union. I've never been in a job where that was an option, where there was a union for me to join. But if I was, I would join it in a heartbeat. When we think of unions, we think of strikes and collective bargaining, like the industrious animals in Click Clack Moo, who say, for us to do our work, we need electric blankets to stay warm, we need a diving board so the pond is a little less boring. These are important things that unions do. These are the ways unions often achieve better working conditions and better pay for their members by joining together, by bargaining, by coming to the company and saying, this is what we need to do our job. But unions don't only need to be able to bargain to be powerful. There's something called a wall-to-wall union. It's one that allows membership from the entire company, the entire organization, and often that means that the union as a whole can't bargain because everyone has wildly different jobs. And so a single contract is not possible in that situation. Wall-to-wall unions can be particularly great in some states where public employees are not allowed to bargain. It is illegal for them to participate in collective bargaining. So for example, the United Campus Workers of Mississippi, it's open to anyone who gets a paycheck from the state of Mississippi at any state college or university, all across all that whole system. And they don't bargain on contracts. Again, it is illegal in Mississippi for them to bargain. Folks across the union can support each other despite their different jobs, despite the fact that they might not cross paths that often otherwise. It allows them to tap in, to be connected, to be resourced for each other, by each other. But wall-to-wall unions don't only exist in places where collective bargaining is illegal. That's not the only time they can be helpful. I know about wall-to-wall unions because of the Alphabet Workers Union. Alphabet is the parent company of Google, which has many, many other subsidiaries. It's a very complicated structure. And you might be thinking when you hear that, why do software engineers at Google need a union? They are doing just fine. Doesn't Google give them a lot of money and a lot of free things? Yeah, Google does give them a lot of money and a lot of free things. But that's where the wall-to-wall union comes in. When we think of Google and YouTube and all those things, we think of the software engineers. But there are so many other people who work there who help make the company run. There are people who are adjacent to software engineers working on those same projects. There are designers and product managers. But there are food service workers, there are baristas, childcare providers, massage therapists who provide those massages, people who review YouTube videos for safety, who respond to reports that a video is inappropriate. All those people also work for Alphabet. And I imagine you are probably not shocked when I tell you that they are not paid very well. And even the people who are paid well need that collective support. In an article about the University of Mississippi wall-to-wall union, an assistant professor of history who studies labor unions and organizing in the South and who also is in the union, she said in an interview, people hear union and they think wages and benefits, but we have a broader mission than that. We want to build and sustain social and economic justice in our workplaces and in our communities. If you come to work and feel unsafe because of racism, sexism, or homophobia, that's a labor issue. That would be something as a union that we would want to address. So yes, you can get paid a lot by your company and get a lot of free perks, but it doesn't protect you from racism. It doesn't protect you from sexual harassment. And just, for example, if you are the co-leader of a team working on ethics in artificial intelligence, and you raise an ethics concern about something you are being asked to do, being paid a lot doesn't stop them from firing you while you're on vacation. And if you're the other co-leader of the team, doesn't stop you from getting fired for criticizing that firing on Twitter. Just a couple examples. There are people at companies that we think of as well-paid who are not well-paid, and there are people who are well-paid who still have labor concerns. One of the really cool things about the Alphabet Workers Union is that anyone can join, anyone who gets a paycheck from an Alphabet company, even if they are contractors who technically are employed by a different company, a temping agency, a contracting company. Google and Alphabet maintain that these people, these temps, vendors, contractors, are not their employees. They are employed by other companies. They make up about half of the Google workforce. Google cannot run without these people. And so they get to be part of this union to receive the organizing and justice and support. They get the support and help from folks who have more job security because they are employees. And then within that union, they can form bargaining units to say all of the software engineers in this company and in this office and all of the food service workers who contract through this company, and they can start bargaining. Just recently, YouTube Music had a unanimous election to form a bargaining unit, the second in this union, and they are soon probably going to be the first ones to come to the negotiating table with Alphabet. This is huge. This is huge, the precedent that this sets. And you might be thinking, as I stand up here, Reverend Aisha, for a minister, you know a lot about the Alphabet Workers Union. And I do, and that is because my partner is part of this union. And I have gotten to watch this union come into being, which has been a pretty incredible process. I have gotten to watch the organizing that happened and the conversations and the shifts as things moved into the pandemic, and suddenly people whose work was remote could keep getting paid. And people whose work was in the building stopped getting paid, and how they responded to that and how they said, even though I can still get paid because my work is remote, this is not how we want our coworkers to be treated. It has been really cool to watch this happen in real time. And like I said, I've never been part of a union, so this has been my big entry point here. Now, this is going to seem like a complete shift, but bear with me. Did you know that Teen Vogue does really important journalism? Yes? Some of you, I'm seeing these nods. Really, really important journalism. We tend to think about magazines aimed at teen girls being glossy and full of makeup tips and things that no one cares about, but Teen Vogue has really been going deep. I found an article called What a Labor Union Is and How It Works, and it's part of something called In Session, the Teen Vogue Lesson Plan. They say it's a curated story collection to help aid education in and out of the classroom. There are articles and resources about elections, about non-whitewashed US history, abortion as healthcare, worker rights, so much more being curated by Teen Vogue. And in this article about unions by Kim Kelly, she says, unions facilitate the process of collective bargaining. It offers workers a seat at the table and allows them to directly advocate for themselves and their coworkers. While it can be difficult for an individual worker at a big company to successfully advocate for themselves, union advocates say the strength and power of an organized group of fellow workers alongside the union's backing can make all the difference. Cesar Chavez was a labor organizer and civil rights activist. He co-founded the National Farm Workers Association, which was a precursor to the United Farm Workers Union. And he said, "We cannot seek achievement for ourselves and forget about progress and prosperity for our community. Our ambitions must be broad enough to include the aspirations and needs of others for their sakes and for our own. We cannot do the work that we need to do alone. We always need each other. Dolores Huerta, the other co-founder of the National Farm Workers Association, said every moment is an organizing opportunity. Every person, a potential activist, every minute, a chance to change the world. Beloveds, we know about those opportunities. We know how to seize the moment. We know about the power of gathering together to do the work of justice and equity. We know what it means to uplift not only ourselves, but each other. We know how to organize, how to unite, how to bargain together, how to do this work. The union makes us strong, as Solidarity Forever says. And I think that means the labor union, yes, the trade union, but also this union of all of us together. Coming together to do the work that we know must be done. That's something we know how to do here. We don't try to do things on our own. We gather together. We rely on each other, and we get things done. Today is my last Sunday in my time as your sabbatical minister. It has been such a blessing to serve you in this way, to accompany you and be a deeper part of this community. And I am so grateful that I am not really going anywhere, because it would be hard to say goodbye. After today, I become your affiliated community minister again. I will be around to preach, to join you in worship, to hold your pastoral needs, and just be part of this congregation. I love this community, this union of people holding each other in love, working to make our lives and each other's lives and the world a better, more loving, more just place. It is a blessing to get to be with you. I've mentioned in previous sermons that I took a class this year with Sarah Lynch Thomason, who wrote More Waters Rising, which we've sung many times in this congregation. Sarah also does deep research into the history and context of folk music, and particularly Appalachian folk music. The class was called Badass Women in Folk Songs, and every week there was a different theme, and the final week was around working women's songs of protest. Sarah talked about how even though they couldn't be miners, women were an integral part of the coal industry. They did many other jobs that kept it running besides the mining. And she says these conditions, the terrible conditions of the camp, inspired many women to write songs expressing their anger with the coal industry. Some of these are songs we still sing today, like Which Side Are You On? Songs were a way to organize, to get people paying attention and working together. And Sarah talks about where these songs got sung. She said, by the wood stove, while fetching water, in church, and at bedtime. These are the places where people gather, the places where people are together who can share their experiences, mobilize one another, support, and carry through. So yes, it's true that I've never been part of a labor union. I've never had a job where that was an option. But I am part of this union, beloveds, this gathering of people who love each other and the world, who care, who hold each other in love and fight for what is just and right. It is a blessing to be together, to do this work alongside you, and I look forward to many, many more times of gathering, of holding all that we carry and taking it forth into the world speaking the world we know is possible into being. Thank you for doing this work with me. May it be so. Amen. This is the time in our service where we celebrate the bounty in our lives by sharing it with others. Today's offering will be shared with the Transgender Emergency Fund of Massachusetts, which supports low-income and homeless transgender people in Massachusetts, assisting with housing, prescription copays, transportation, personal supplies, and more, and also with Trans Lifeline, a grassroots hotline and microgrants organization that offers direct emotional and financial support to trans people in crisis for the trans community by the trans community. If you are here in the sanctuary, ushers will come by with the baskets. If you are online, the link will be in the chat. And if this is your first time here with us in worship, please let this basket pass you by. Your presence here with us is your gift.